everybody. Welcome to another episode of What a Hell of a Way to Dad. It is Nate and Francis. Nate, everything is on fire in the world. Everything costs too much and nobody's making any money. But how are you doing?
I'm all right. I mean, it's springtime. Days are longer. It's getting warmer. I definitely feel like there's just been some improvement overall in the weather here. So there's, small victories, I suppose, small mercies. But yeah, I mean, I'm aware that, one of the ways where this manifests strangely for me is that because I live in Switzerland, but because so much of my income comes from production work where I'm not being paid by Swiss clients, but rather by people who pay in dollars or in euros or in pound sterling. What I've been noticing is that like the franc is really strong, which is kind of bad for me because all of a sudden, it's the pound is only barely stronger than the franc, which is a pretty big departure. It's pretty strong against the dollar. It's much stronger against the euro. And all of a sudden it's just like, so I guess this is why everyone treats it as like the mountain reserve currency, bunker currency, I suppose. But I mean, weirdly, like, we're kind of insulated from utility price costs here because of the way that the power market works, specifically in this canton. But if I were back in the UK, I mean, it's already going horribly and it's only going to get worse because of the way that works.
It's doing that in America. Doing that in America too. But hey, look, the power of neutrality. Apparently Switzerland, by not entering any war, turns out to be prepared for the next one. I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
No, I mean, it's not really that so much as they really do place an emphasis on like, they can't have every single possible thing in this country be self-sufficient, but there's definitely this mentality of like, yeah, we might be in the Schengen zone with France and Germany, Italy, but we can't trust those fuckers. And so there's a degree to which they have done a lot of things kind of to emphasize self-sufficiency as much as possible. I think it varies depending on where you are. But it just happens that where I live, there's a state-owned power company and it's, run by the canton and it's pretty heavily invested in renewable energy. And the prices for power usage are much lower here than they were in the UK, far lower, which is funny given that the UK is a natural gas producing and exporting nation and also has, up until very recently, had the biggest offshore power, like wind power generation capacity. But the way the British power market works is that all that, whether it's efficiency, savings, profits, money, it all goes to rich fuckheads who live in Dubai or Singapore or wherever British exiles live, and you just pay more. And also wind power is what we call perfect British entropy because the wind is blowing and sucking all of the fucking heat out of your incredibly not insulated home, but it's also generating power. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. So you get the double whammy of electricity.
Well, you don't benefit. You just pay more, but the grid gets more power. But then the grid is getting more power usage. Although, in fairness, most people don't heat their homes with electric in Britain; they heat them with gas. So, wind power is actually increasing CO2 emissions in this scenario. But that's because every house in Britain is a hovel, and insulation is a foreign concept. Less so elsewhere in this side of the Atlantic, but unfortunately, Britain. It's genuinely like a novel concept. Sorry, British listeners, but it's we've probably all seen that photo that got kicked around. I think it was originated on Reddit where someone had to have some work done on their new build home, like a recently built home. And these are, because of housing prices in Britain, they're incredibly expensive, but they're very low quality. And someone had to have some work done on one. To cut into like the plaster skinning, the plasterboard wall to get into what should be a hollow wall with insulation. There was no insulation. They're like, wait, what the fuck though? There's a pipe, like an inspection port in one of the rooms there, like near the bathroom where you can open up to access like the standpipe and the water pipe, stuff like that. That has insulation. What they realized was the builders put a ring of insulation around the inspection port so it looked like there was insulation in all the walls, but there was none.
Wow.
Because they're like, fuck, we're not spending money on insulation. Fuck you. You won't know the difference. You've never been in an insulated home before.
Yeah, you can't pull that on like your average American because we punch too many walls. Yeah. Like eventually you're going to punch a wall and it's like after you're done being, mad that the Browns lost a game, you're going to realize, also I'm being fucked over. I have no insulation in here. Went right on through. Didn't grab any fiberglass.
Well, also, I think too, the thing is in the United Kingdom, temperatures don't really get that extremely cold in the wintertime. Obviously, there's far-flung areas of the country where that's more the case. But in general, in the most populous parts of the country, which is Southeast England, it's not really the case. And so your house is cold, will probably be cold in the winter because it's drafty, and if it's badly insulated or not insulated, but it's not so cold that the pipes are going to freeze. That's really rare. I mean, a lot of places have pipes, not sometimes entry pipes, so certainly like drainage pipes, like for plumbing on the outside of buildings. You see that quite often because oftentimes these are old buildings that predate indoor plumbing. So when they added it, they kind of just did it however. And so it's like you can kind of get away with it. Like you'll be cold and miserable in the wintertime, but it's not going to like freeze your pipes and cause them to explode and your water goes everywhere and shit the way it does in America. So I'm not saying it's better. It's just more that stakes are lower, perhaps. Call it that.
Sure, you're kind of fucked over in a different way. I'm sure that weather pattern will hold up.
Well, yeah, it's all the jet stream, right? Because like the UK is like on the same latitude as parts of like northern Canada. But yeah, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, we know why we've joked about it plenty of times. Why the British Empire formed is because everybody was trying to get the fuck out of England. Go find some warmer weather, some malaria, some spices, some new venereal diseases.
I mean, having recently been to the United Kingdom for work and staying in West Sussex, it's like the most pleasant experience I've ever had in the UK. And I can kind of understand why, if that was your introduction to the place, if that's how, especially if you were there, like I wasn't there on vacation, but I was living in effectively a vacation-like setting because I was working all day in a studio and then we were staying in a house in a little village and it was really pleasant. And it was like, oh, this is so nice. Wow. I kind of get it now, as opposed to when you live there and you deal with England problems, the UK problems, wherever it is you live in the country, it's not quite as pleasant.
I do still like all of the British media that I grew up with back in the 80s and 90s. It's still like, I know that obviously England has cities. You have London, and others, assorted cities.
London, Manchester, Leeds, Birmingham, Bristol,
etc. West Ham, I believe
West Ham
one.
is Bath is one. West Ham is, I believe, is like a neighborhood, but it's not. If it's a town, it's certainly not a big city. But Bath is a small city. Bristol's a bigger city. Yeah.
But America brained and, so ingrained in the in what I watched, and having never been to England, I just assume everything is a peaceful hamlet over there. With stone built. No, actually the stone buildings and thatch roof, that's Ireland. Ireland's even further behind you when it comes to me. I don't think I've ever seen like the skyline of Dublin. Nobody ever wants to be like, oh, this progressive, city that exists here. Like, no, you have cobblestone roads, you have goats everywhere, thatched roofs, and that's it. And you've got these wild cliffs here, and that's all you got. So, when you say that, like, this idea that Sussex,
yeah, south of London,
yeah, being this nice quiet area that you can work and live in and everything. It's like, well, that sounds like that's the England that I expect. The England that you've been complaining about for 10 years is just not one that I've ever experienced.
Well, I don't live there anymore. So I don't have to deal with it anymore. But
yeah, I've never been. We've been talking about going, but give me money. Patreon.com/hellofawaydodie. Help me go visit England where Nate doesn't
I don't live there
anymore.
Also, it's way more expensive than it was before. Obviously, events in the world make it a little more challenging these days. But I don't know. So I'd been to Brighton before to do a show a long time ago, like pre-COVID, and I found it to be like perfectly pleasant. But I'd never really had time to hang out there. And Brighton's Brighton's in West Sussex. I think it might be in East Sussex. I can't remember. But regardless, it's there. It's only like 50, 60 miles south of London, but it's on the southern coast. And we stayed in a town, a little village outside Brighton, but it was like maybe 20 minutes by car to get into Brighton. So we went out to dinner a few times there, and yeah, it was nice. But I actually had a moment when I was there where I was like, maybe the problem is just London sucks. Maybe I should just maybe if I had to move back here, I'd go to Brighton. But then all this stuff happened. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, your power bills are going up like £4,000 a year because of this narrow strip of water in the Persian Gulf." And then I was like, "Right, it's England." And then they're like, "Oh, by the way, like We're basically banning all trans healthcare for trans kids. We're also changing it so it's illegal to become a refugee in Britain, and you'll basically never get permanent residency. Surprise, you thought you could naturalize at 5 years or get permanent residency. Now we're pushing everyone to a 10-year track. We think Britain's going to vote for an insane racist party, so we as the nominally left party need to make sure to do all the racism in advance, because then people will be like, oh, well, that's all my problems solved. I won't vote for the racism.
Right. We've got all the racism that we have racism at home. We don't need this new racism.
And so seeing all that happen, I was like, yeah, you know what? I think I'll take my chances. Bear in mind that I was never like, oh, we should leave Switzerland voluntarily and move back. It's more that things here are such that there can always be surprises and sudden change in immigration status. And
sure. Oh, can there be wildly different changes in immigration status that suddenly fucks you over? Wow. Don't come. I mean, I would say don't come to America, but I think America is the place that you're literally the safest.
Well, I mean, obviously, like I'm born in America, but I'm a dual citizen. In Britain, I have my passport, but you hear me talk and it's like, even though I've lived there as an adult, I've paid taxes, I have all the like ID numbers and shit that you are expected to have. There's always that concern of them just deciding like, oh, well, we think that down the road, the British public is going to want to vote for the no one's allowed to be a dual citizen party. So we're just going to cancel it. I don't know. I mean, if they canceled my American, if they forced me to, I don't know if you know this, but renouncing your American citizenship is really challenging and really expensive. So it's not really a thing you can just do. It costs like 12 grand to do it at a minimum. Yeah.
Why? What is that like? Just take me. It's like, you can write a letter to the Pope to get excommunicated, but he also won't do it. He'll just say, no, you're still one of my flock, but that's fine. I don't know why getting out of America, like, also, before we get into this, is your daughter an American citizen?
Yes.
Okay, good. We got that at least going. Even being born, I know you guys have been bouncing all around, but you still have your anchors here in America.
She's a British citizen too, but she's
a
dual citizen. She wouldn't have been a British citizen if she had been born abroad outside of the UK because of the way that the law works there. Because I am a citizen by descent, and I was born outside of Britain. So if we had our daughter in America, for example, she would not have automatically been a British citizen. But because of the fact that she was born there and that her mom had naturalized, she's both. She can renounce her American citizenship at 18 at no cost when she turns 18 if she wants to. There's some advantages to doing that if we stay here, because being an American citizen is really annoying in Switzerland. I think I've gone over this like a million times about like all the U.S. stuff, the laws they've passed to kind of fuck with you if you live abroad, and it's specifically a problem here.
Yeah, I'm sure taxes is not great. Taxes aren't great.
Well, we don't make enough money to pay U.S. taxes because it's above. Basically, we'd have to earn more than $250K as a family, and also beyond that, there's like we can deduct a lot of housing and cost of living expenses because there's a foreign income tax exclusion, like a rates table that's set for where you live in the world, and weirdly Geneva, it's like you can deduct up to like $104,000 of living expenses. This is some real dad chat right here. Taxes. Well, it's fucking. Here's the thing: being an American citizen, for those of you who aren't aware of this, even a lot of people are like, "Oh, Americans have to pay taxes," but well, you don't have to pay taxes if the U.S. has a tax reciprocity treaty with the country you're in up to a certain point. After, for the family income, if married, filing jointly, if you're married or not, but if you're filing jointly, if you make more than $255,000, then you have to pay U.S. income taxes on top for any income above that. So if you make $275,000 US dollars a year, the equivalent of it in salary, because this doesn't count for stuff like dividends and other kinds of compensation. It's only salary. Then that extra 20 grand, that $20,000 there, you would pay U.S. taxes on it. Now it would be treated like it was, you had $20,000 of U.S. income. So it's not going to be taxed at a really high rate, but you would have to pay it because the U.S. is like, well, I don't know fucking why they do. It's stupid. Anyway, point being, we don't pay U.S. taxes, but we have to file every year, and it's really fucking complicated to do all the paperwork for it. Mm-hmm. So we have to pay an accountant to do it. So it is kind of paying a tax in its own right. Thankfully, Cynthia's had the same accountant for forever, and so he hasn't raised rates on us, so that's helpful. But it's a thing you have to do. I talked about this before and I don't want to go into too much detail, but basically like we would never be able to get a mortgage or a car loan or any kind of like consumer credit beyond a very, very small range of things in this country because they don't want to deal with American clients because of the laws the US has passed for disclosure that violate Swiss consumer privacy laws. It's fucking annoying. So if I don't move back to the US, I don't know if I would renounce or not. And if while my parents are still alive, because I really have no faith that they would allow me back in the country, given how things are right now.
Probably not.
But I don't see that happening anytime soon because obviously, like, if I need to go back, I don't want it to. I don't want to be like, oh, by the way, like I need a visa to America, and also it costs like $12,000, and that's if you don't use a lawyer. I have no idea why, but to be honest with you, my gut feeling is the U.S. assumes the only reason you would ever leave the United States, the God's most perfect country and the best country ever formed, created, ruled, etc., most common sense, logical, and helpful government ever. The only reason you would leave America is to go to some place, like the Emirates that has 0% income taxes and make fuckloads of money. And the only reason you would ever renounce your U.S. citizenship is because you don't want to pay U.S. taxes. So they decide they're
going to get one. They're going to reach into your pocket one last time. We're going to grab it. We're going to get that last little bit of money before you run off to Dubai to be an influencer.
Yeah, it's like, it's not what I'm doing, obviously, but like, I already have other citizenship that I don't really have any intention of living in Britain, but it's the thing I can do.
Just kind of collecting them, huh? Are you going to get Swiss citizenship next?
When I'm 50, yeah, hopefully.
There you go. Hey, that's like less than 10 years away.
10 years to living here to get it. It takes a long time here.
Does it cancel any of the other ones out? Can you only be 2? Can you be triple?
Yeah.
Look at you stacking.
Well, I mean, God willing, I won't be a fucking American citizen, but I mean, that's later. I mean, what it really comes down to is like housing is so expensive here that there's just like zero way we would be able to buy a place anyway. And legally, we can't buy a place until we're at least permanent residents. So that's like, that would be like 3 odd more years. But I don't know, dude, like.
But you can't afford a house anywhere else either. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to realize how expensive Geneva is. Like, you could expect at this point, with the franc being as strong as it is, we live in a 3-bedroom apartment that's about 1,100 square feet in a not particularly luxurious building, but it's a big complex of buildings. An equivalent apartment within the city, relatively close to the city center as we are, you could expect to spend the equivalent of $2.5 to $3 million for an apartment. Ooh. That's just not happening. Like, you have to have about 25% down at a bare minimum here to cover fees and everything. So I'm pretty bad at math, but 25% of, let's say, 3 million is what, 750,000 francs? That's like $1 million in cash. That's not happening. That's just simply, I do not have that money, and I will not have that money. Even if I were legally allowed to buy a home, which I am not, I also would not be able to get a mortgage to cover the remainder because no one's going to lend to me because I'm a fucking American. They don't want to deal with it because there's all this compliance stuff because they have to file disclosures to the U.S. government for having U.S. clients every year that violate Swiss banking laws and privacy laws. So in order to do that legally, they have to have like a certified compliance agent, and that's annoying and it costs them money. So they're just like, easier solution for us. We don't do business with Americans. So you can see how fucking annoying it is being an American citizen here. Especially like, I've met plenty of people like this. They are American citizens because either they are parents who are not Americans who are working in America and they were born there, or their parents were like me and Cynthia, Americans who moved abroad and then they had kids and they just, made sure to get their kids the passport of their home country too. And then these kids grow up or they're adults now, they've lived in Switzerland or wherever their entire lives. And then they move to Switzerland and all of a sudden it's like, oh fuck, oh shit, my life is really annoying because of this passport I don't use.
Hey, back in the 80s and 90s, man, you'd want your kid to be an American, and now it's just a lot of paperwork, a lot of racism.
I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, it's just one of those things where you have to take all of like the romantic sentiment out of it. Like, it's the passport of the country we were born in. So yeah, it represents stuff. And for a lot of people, they would really, really like to have it. I'd be happy to fucking give it away if I could, but they won't let me because of this arbitrary shit with sort of like militarized borders and stuff. We're not allowed to do that. I would love it if I could be like, have my fucking American passport, have my American citizenship. I'll literally trade it. You can have it. I don't know. Give me a really, really good recipe from wherever you're from, and you can literally have it. That would be awesome.
No, we got to put this up on like Facebook Marketplace or something. We'll swap you out. You can get a citizenship somewhere else. We'll get you a Canada one.
I don't want to move to fucking Canada. What are you talking about?
Look, this isn't like you want to go to Canada to do this. This is more of a, contingency. If there's a problem, you can get into Canada.
I'm sure there's at least one Swiss person who cannot get over how much they love San Diego, and they're living in San Diego illegally, like undocumented, and they would trade. And I'd be like, yeah, but give me that red passport. I'll give you you can have it. You can live in, they love San Diego so much. I don't know why. I think because it's perfect weather and kind of sterile.
It really is.
And
it is
Switzerland, except the weather's not as good.
Is there a Swiss contingency in San Diego? Is it like the Armenians in Glendale?
No,
I
don't think there's. Switzerland's such a small country in general, and there are places in America that did at one point have pretty significant Swiss communities, but that's from a long time ago. Switzerland hasn't been wealthy that long, but it has been wealthy since basically the middle of the 20th century relative to other, countries in Europe. And the fact that it wasn't...
What happened then?
Well, it wasn't destroyed in the war. And
yeah, neutrality winning again.
I mean, the thing that's weird about it, dude, is that like Switzerland is, I don't know. I think the thing that's more fucked up than taking... Because the thing with everyone's like Nazi gold, and it's like, well, lots and lots of European countries also did that because it was basically Nazis selling them or gold bullion in exchange for foreign currency. So they have foreign currency reserves to buy stuff with. Lots of countries did it. The thing that's in Switzerland's case is that Switzerland didn't get invaded, whereas the other countries that did it got invaded and got occupied. And so people kind of forget that like they weren't alone. If you want to ding them on something fucked up, their arms industry they did a lot of business with Nazi Germany. And when they had a commission to be like, how complicit was the Swiss arms industry in selling material to the Nazis when we were aware of what the Nazis were doing? They were like, oh, well, a bunch of companies just lost all of their books between 1941 and 1945. Gee, wow. What a fucking coincidence. Like that kind of thing. And also like Switzerland they both like kind of like occupied both sides of things in that like they actually refused to deport people the Nazis wanted them to deport, but they also turned a lot of people away at the border who then got exterminated. So there were Americans who were shot down over Switzerland because if you violated their airspace, whether you were Allied or Axis, they would shoot at you. And they got held in a prison camp that was run by a Nazi sympathizer. And they wound up getting the POW medal, which it was the first time, I think the only time, that a non-enemy nation held U.S. captives, and that the treatment was so bad, they're like, oh no, that counts as POW. So, like I said, it's weird, but Switzerland was poor and was a country that had like a net emigration, like more people left than came here until like the 60s, the 50s, the 60s. Like it was very, very poor. But it's been wealthy long enough that like you don't have, post 1965, like changes to immigration law communities of Swiss people in America that I'm aware of. But there's a part of Indiana called Switzerland County, Indiana, and it was settled by Amish people or Mennonites from those like Mennonite Protestant communities around Bern, and they speak Bernese Swiss German. So like that does actually exist. It's just that's, from forever and ever ago. Nowadays, Swiss people move to America. It's work, whatever, kind of reasons, not because of like a mass. You don't have like little Switzerland in like, one small corner of Manhattan or something like that.
Oh, that'd be great though. A little chocolate shop, a little clock repair shop. I don't know any other stereotypes
industry,
about the Swiss.
Massive arms, really, really precision guns being made there. What else? Switzerland's big things were pharmaceuticals, like industrial chemicals, military hardware, chocolate, watches, and then like very, very niche precision manufacturing stuff. Like to give you an example, when I bought that ridiculous gas burner, the like 120,000 BTU wok burner for our back garden in London, so I could do like insane stir fries, and it was cool as shit. It's just, obviously I'm not going to bring it to my apartment with a balcony where I'm not allowed to have a grill on the balcony. When I had that, even storing it covered with a vinyl cover and like, not in direct path of rain, stuff would build up and the gas jets got blocked eventually, and I had to, was cleaning them out. getting a very, very, very fine wire brush specifically for cleaning gas injectors. Of course, that was made in Switzerland when I bought it from a tool supplier. That kind of a thing. And then like take that all the way up to like huge. There's like a Swiss manufacturer that makes some kind of special kind of battery processing equipment for like mega high capacity solar arrays, like that kind of a thing. But it's a country where if you not citizens, literally just like residents total, even people who aren't citizens, it's like 10 million people, 9 million people, something like that. And there's the right-wing party is trying to do a referendum that would make it illegal for there to be more than 10 million Swiss citizens.
Okay. We're not going to get into that one.
They're basically like, we're just going to basically violate all of like our statutes on taking refugees and so on and so forth because we're not allowed to have more than 10 million people because of ecology, I guess.
No more fucking. No more fucking. Exactly. We got 10 million people.
Don't worry. It's like, don't worry. This says,
don't worry, that's not what we're talking about.
The average age, the median age in this country is 44 and the like birth rate is like 1.2. So like it's where 2.1 is replacement rate. So yeah, like this is not a country we have to worry about the birth rate driving over population or anything.
Yeah. Well, Nate, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about being dads. How's your kid doing? I recently it's fish fry season here in St. Louis for the Catholics. I don't know if the Anglicans do this. You were raised Anglican. I don't know if you guys did fish fries for Lent. If you did the no meat on Friday kind of thing.
But I remember seeing it around because I lived in Santa Fe, so there's a lot of Catholics there.
Anglicanism really is like
I wasn't really raised. Remember, I wasn't really raised. I mean, I was kind of, but like we stopped doing anything religious when I was like 11. So yeah,
gotcha. Okay.
I just grew up around a lot of. Once I moved to the Midwest, a lot of all stripes Christianity and also a lot of Jews as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, we went to a fish fry and we're concerned. My daughter gets nervous in loud, crowded areas, which, as veterans, I get it. But this is the first time this has ever happened. One of our friends was at this fish fry. They have a kid who's about our daughter's age, same kind of spicy brain. And the kid was just like, hey, do you want to come and volunteer with me? And my daughter was like, yes. And then my daughter, who I have to tell 10 times to unload a dishwasher, who I have to tell 12 times to clean her area of the island or her desk up, spent an hour and a half to 2 hours cleaning up this whole place, walking around, bussing tables, talking to people, wearing the gloves, put the apron on. And the entire time she would come back, she'd be like, we get free food after this. This is great. We should do this every week. They're going to feed us for free. And then for sure at 7:00 when the whole thing shut down, it was much like free food in that, how when you were in basic training and you're on KP and you maybe, I don't know how much KP you did in officers training school, but you would work the line, and then once you were done, once all the food was served, they basically said, we're going to throw the rest of this away, so eat as much as you guys want.
What was KP for you guys? Because when they would bring out the mermites, and then we'd have to serve, you'd be on duty to like serve the food and stuff. I never like had to cook, but I had to do serving.
There's no cooking. There was always serving. I spent KP one time serving on the short order line, and I spent KP one time cleaning pots and stuff in the back.
Yeah, I've done that when I was in infantry school. In Ranger school, they wouldn't let us serve food because they didn't trust us. So
right.
Yeah. Fucking man, I hated that.
But she jumped in, man. She was it was kind of surprising. But I am glad that that kind of volunteer work and somebody like grabbing her and saying, "Hey, come on over here and do this." Got a good future busing tables one day, just like her old man.
I would say
did.
Hopefully you're proud of her because that sounds really cool that she just like.
I'm very proud of her. I'm like I was not expecting it. I kind of walked into that situation thinking like, all right, we're gonna have to find her a place to sit where she's kind of away from people. She can read her book, because a lot of times in these crowded areas, she needs a place where she can mentally block things out. So usually that means a place with her book and her stuffed animal where she can sit and kind of ignore the rest of the world. But in this situation, somebody came and said, hey, you should come work and do this. And it was very surprising. There's a certain safety net at home, right? And everybody who's a parent, and I'm sure you're going to discover it too, as your daughter grows up, the kid will act differently at home because it's safer. It's a place where the kid can yell at you or have a meltdown or have a breakdown.
That's already happening 100%, to be honest with you. I do perceive this quite often, that my daughter is quite well behaved and somewhat reserved in public. And then at home, it's like I am running around because I feel comfortable at home, yelling, doing whatever. So you definitely see that huge split between inside outside for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, we're very proud of her. And we would be doing more fish fries this year, but right now she does Irish dance. It's March. So, and rather than her school used to be in the St. Patrick's Day parades, but the gal who runs the school was like, that's a huge pain in the ass. So what they do is they do they do this thing called the jig, which is much like River Dance, is a stage production where they dance and they have choreographed stories and scenes and everything, and big dancing and everything. So we haven't been able to go back, but it is nice that thrown into this situation, she jumped in, was like, yeah, hell yeah, let's do some work. Let's rather than sit in a corner and curl up into a ball, she found somebody who was able to say, hey, look, come on along with me and do all this. Come help me clean up. We all get free food at the end. And that was enough for her. And she loved it. We ended up staying there for well past 7:00. So
it's interesting because, I mean, obviously my daughter's really young, but this is definitely a thing that I've noticed where, we sometimes bring her over to spend time with recently we had like a play date with neighbors because they have a little boy who's the same age as her and a friend of theirs who's American, whose son is like maybe a year younger. And it was very funny seeing how like she saw the little boy skipping, and I've never seen her skip before, but she started doing it with him and now she does it all the time. And definitely when there's slightly older kids, like it's amazing how much like she picks up like a sponge, really just kind of like absorbing stuff and learning stuff from them. And it's very, very, sometimes for better or worse, but it's very funny to watch that she can be very shy, but she definitely like has warmed up a ton since starting daycare because, she's around all these kids her own age in a group doing group stuff. And that's been tremendous. I mean, she's talking a ton more. She's talking more in English too, which is great, but she's definitely talking a ton in French and like forming, for her age, quite complex sentences.
Is she mixing the two? Does she say, okay,
all the time? Yes. Non, c'est papa do it. Is when I get a lot. No, it's dad has to do it. She'll say that, but they say, I get that one. I say, non, c'est papa, lie down. Things like that. Sometimes I get tired and just fucking mix up stuff because like I don't have it in me to speak French when it's been a long day and I'm dealing with her, around bedtime. And there was one time when I was watching her solo where I was putting her to bed and she kept trying to get up. And I was like, no, you have to lie down. And she was like, she said, no, c'est papa couche-toi. Like, no, that's not quite correct grammatically, but basically, no, dad, you have to lie down. And I was like, okay, and this is verbatim what I said. Okay, I'll couche-moi, but you have to couche-toi too. And I wasn't even thinking, I just said it because your brain's exhausted. But I get a lot of mixed stuff. I try to like note it down, like write it down when, like the other day she pointed to, I was wearing slippers in the house and she said, papa les foot caché, or like papa foot caché, like you're basically your foot's hidden, but in, 2.5-year-old sort of linguistic processing, but she definitely is mixing English and French a lot, but most of the time it's just French. So like Cynthia doesn't really have time to practice or study French right now. Her job's really busy, but she's definitely building quite a bit of vocabulary because of all the stuff that our daughter says.
That's really, I mean, that's when it comes to learning languages, obviously the best time to learn a language is when you're younger.
Yeah.
But for those of us who are old and trying to learn a language, learning along with a toddler sounds fantastic because you're learning all the little small basic things. You can get the see dick run in French. I don't know what run dick run is in French, but it is a I see it as a very good opportunity for Cynthia to. I'm jealous. I'm jealous that you have a bilingual baby that you get to learn alongside.
I mean, it's funny because like it would be difficult enough to understand if she were speaking English with a pacifier in her mouth, but when she's doing it with French, it's even more complicated sometimes, and I genuinely just don't understand.
Yeah, it's already a language that sounds like you got a mouthful of marbles, so having a pacifier in there is. I
mean, I think the thing is she's like, I definitely have noticed when it comes to stuff like songs, things they learn at nursery or at creche, that like she comes home and it just surprises me because she'll just say stuff out of nowhere that I haven't heard her say before. Like did I say this last time? She's got this picture I put up on her wall. It's just like a painting of fish and it's just a thing that we had, that gotten framed. It's like a watercolor.
The jam band's got Trey Anastasio.
It's just a watercolor of like fish. The creatures swimming, and she pointed. She said, "Les petits poissons nagent," like the little fish are swimming. And I was like, "What? Yes, they are, but I have never heard you say that." And I discovered there's like a little song, and they do the thing with their hands to kind of like gesture, like the fish swimming in the water. And it's kind of amazing. I mean, you see this development day by day. And then, out of nowhere, suddenly a thing enters into the vocabulary and she's using it all the time. She knows the difference between like sitting up, lying down. Like she'll say, papa couche-toi, papa allonge-toi, papa assis-toi, like lie down, sit up, stand, that kind of thing.
It's a very demanding child.
That's how kids are, man. Jesus, they love capital R rules all the time and telling you what to do.
I do love everything she's demanding is like, sit down, lay down, take your shoes off, relax. Let me sit on you. All right, we're done.
I mean, she that's just, to be honest with you, like, I don't have a ton of experience with kids her age other than her, but that's been pretty typical of my experience, that like either if they're not telling you, then they're asking you, but it's the same commands, like, and the same sort of like, if I'm wearing like a necklace or something, she wants me to like, either she wants to put on hers or she wants me to take it off, because if she's not wearing it, then I shouldn't wear it either. And if I'm wearing socks and Cynthia's wearing socks and she wants to be wearing socks, like you can't really do, grown-ups do this thing and you're doing this. Like that does not work with her. And I think that's kind of universal, but like she's particularly perceptive of it.
This is very much a reverse psychology kind of age. How do you make the pig go forward as you pull the tail backwards? And so once that was something that we always noted with our daughter, is that we're very proud of her, the fact that she does not cave to peer pressure. Like there's nobody who's ever going to be like, hey, you should like crawl underneath this train, or you should do, all that dangerous bullshit. Because she's like, no, I don't want to do that. That sounds stupid and dangerous, and I'm not going to do it. The downside though is that when your parents are trying to say you should eat a vegetable, and look how good these vegetables are, look how good this fruit is, look how and it's like, no, that's not going to work on me. Give me the ketchup on the eggs, and that's all you're going to get out of me. Which, to be fair, ketchup on eggs is a new thing that we learned. She's like, oh yeah, I'll eat anything with ketchup on it. 10 and a half years old, Nate. This is new. This is a new thing. But she shovels eggs into her mouth with it, and it's been a long time since she's been eating eggs, so I'm gonna go with it.
I mean, I like ketchup on eggs too, to be honest with you. Sure. I kind of learned that in the Army, because like the powdered eggs they made, just not great. So any kind of sauce you could
Tabasco
put on it.
was mine.
Tabasco, they had Texas Pete, but like, I put ketchup on it. I had a friend who put ketchup, Texas Pete, and mustard on eggs. He was from like mega rural Virginia, so I don't know if that was a thing, but I don't know. I remember mustard on eggs. I was like, damn, bro, but he's all for it.
You got to flavor that up. I'm a mustard guy myself. I'm not big on ketchup, but I do like. I have a couple of different. I guess I have one sandwich mustard and maybe two dipping mustards, as the tweet goes.
Want to hear something fucked up?
What's that?
They sell mustard and mayonnaise and condiments like that in tubes here. It's like it makes sense that like you have the jars and stuff, like your Grey Poupon equivalent, like Dijon mustard. But if you go to the grocery store and you buy like the kind of mustard that most people are going to have in their home, it's going to be in a tube, like the same kind of tube as like you'd get.
Like a toothpaste tube?
No, like tomato paste. Have you seen tomato paste tubes, like that kind of thing? It's like that.
But can you close it?
It's got a lid. It's got a lid, like a screw cap. But that's not what's fucked up. What's fucked up is there's like a color scheme that goes along with it, right? Mm-hmm. I would presume, thinking of yellow for mustard, blue for like the jar of Hellman's mustard or Kraft mustard, or mayo, like Hellman's mayo, Kraft mayo, all kinds of mayos, always blue, white or blue, right? You got it backwards. Blue is mustard, yellow is mayonnaise. Why? I don't know. Maybe because yellow egg yolks for mayonnaise. But I cannot tell you how many times I'd be like, grab mustard because we're having like, I don't know, cook some sausages. And I grabbed the mayo by mistake because I'm like, what's yellow like mustard, right? No, backwards.
There is a mayonnaise here. It might be Hellman's that has a yellow screw top lid. I have seen that. Blue mustard though, that's fucked up.
It's weird, isn't it?
That's some Dr. Seuss shit,
like,
man.
Even mustard flowers are yellow.
Yeah, like I've never seen a mustard, because I have the regular, like the barrel Plockman's mustard, or no, French's mustard. I've got a horseradish mustard. I've got a stone ground mustard. They're all a variation of yellow.
Yeah.
Of some kind.
Yeah. I've got, what's it called? Coleman's, the English mustard, because I use it. There's a couple of recipes I use it for, like sauces. That's yellow. Label's yellow. Lid's yellow. All the mustard. French's always in the yellow like squeeze bottle. And then for some reason, it's backwards. I don't get it. And it's like a universal thing in this country. It's not just like the French speaking part. Because I mean, the French language always has the fucked up thing that the letter G is pronounced J and the letter J is pronounced G, which I still have to think through and like prep before I say it because it's just so weird. But yeah, I never got it. I don't know why they do that.
Are the milk colors different too? Like red for the whole milk, blue for the 2%, and I don't know, like usually yellow or pink for skim.
They don't really do milk the same way that we do in America. Like you don't see gallon jugs or anything, so it's typically like a like paper or plastic bottles in the fridge, and then like UHT stuff on the shelf. And it's normally either blue or white. There is some differentiation between like whole milk and like semi-skimmed milk, or I guess kind of skim milk. They don't really have skim milk the same way that we do, but they've got a lower fat version of milk, but it's like some gradation of blue or white. But they don't have the red, the joke that makes everyone laugh. I don't know if do they still do the thing with homogenized milk where the cap says homo on top?
No. No,
you remember that from when we were kids, though?
I do, yeah.
Because we always thought it was the funniest fucking thing when we were idiot teenagers or preteens. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've
drinking the gay milk. Yeah,
exactly. It's like, oh, hey, look, they make special milk just for you. That joke never got old, ever.
Killed in 1997.
Yeah.
You.
I don't know. Maybe it's like inventing fake memories that the last time I was back in America, that I was in the grocery store and I saw it and it still was there. Like they still had it, but like maybe my brain is, I'm actually already dead and this is like DMT going through my brain or whatever.
Ooh, I don't know what drug I did to be here.
Write in and tell us, do you still see the homogenized milk where the cap says homo on top? I'm not saying that to be homophobic. I'm saying that because it was always so awkward, but also the fodder for jokes when we were young and very, very stupid, or at least slightly stupider than we still are today. And it's like it's one of those things where I wonder if people are going to hear this, like, and they're like, oh, they're making this up and they're just being dickheads. And it's like, no, it's genuinely.
Yeah, look, if you weren't there for the 90s, you're not going to understand like a lot of the things, like hanging out at the airport. There's no way that people hung out at the airport, right? Fucking did it all the time.
All the time. You used to go, you go to the airport and you go hang out at the gate and you'd meet your friends or your family or whatever when they got off the plane.
There was a spot that right outside of the St. Louis airport, there was like a little parking lot that was right at the end of the runway on the outside of the fence where you could watch the airplanes like take off right over you. Great makeout spot, great place to hang out and underage drink or smoke weed. 9/11 ruined all that. It's like, look, what if somebody is there doing terrorism stuff? It's like, it's all 17-year-olds giving each other bad hand jobs and smoking ditch weed. That's all it ever has been. That's all it ever will be. There's no terrorists in North St. Louis that are going to shoot a RPG at a plane. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? But yeah, you used to be able to hang out. You used to just be like, I'm going to go to the airport and play arcade games and hang out with the Hare Krishnas.
So like in the 70s, when there were like a bunch of hijackings, that's when they instituted airport security, that you had to go through security to get into the airport. Mm-hmm. It was nowhere near as ridiculous as it is now, but it was like a metal detector or whatever. You still had to go through it, but you could go through even if you weren't a ticketed passenger. That was the difference. So like if you had family coming or you're meeting friends or whatever, or you literally just wanted to hang out, I guess, you just go through security. It's like you put your shit in a metal detector or whatever, you come out. And then like I remember a buddy of mine, like a friend from when we were still in school, his parents let him stay with us for 6 weeks or something in the summer when we had moved to Indiana. And so he flew from Santa Fe and we went to the Indianapolis airport and like we hung out at the gate that his plane was arriving at and like met him as he came off the plane. Because you could do that. Yeah, we weren't flying anywhere, but you could just do that. And then they're like, yeah, then 9/11 happened. They're like, our airport is a no fun zone. You'll never be allowed to hang out, do anything cool ever again. And just got worse.
I did that. I had a girlfriend in high school who was she was in a French class and they were, the class was going to France. So I was able to go and watch her get onto the airplane. Like if you ever watch those, like an old episode of Friends or something from the 90s where they do that, like rushing to the airport gate to stop you from getting onto the plane or say, I love you. Don't get on that airplane. You can't do that anymore. TSA will fucking shoot you or tase you. I don't think they have guns.
They've got Ed 209 from RoboCop. He'll just completely fucking obliterate you. Yeah. I mean, in the 70s, it's weird if you watch old 70s movies where people were like, oh, we're going to be late to the plane. And they're running so far behind And they get to the airport like 6 minutes before the planes, like they close the gate, and they run and they make it just in time because there's literally no security. You could just do that. Also, everyone is smoking. It's just like a fucking, it's like fully like a fluid in the air, just like you're having to cut through it. But yeah, like that was the thing. Like back in those days, there wasn't any security. It was like a bus station or getting on I say getting on an Amtrak train. I mean, like I don't think Amtrak has security.
There's no security on Amtrak.
Like they do ticket checks and stuff before you can go to the platform on at major stations on the East Coast, but there's no security.
No, nobody wants to steal an Amtrak. Well, I mean, what are you going to do? You can't take it off of the tracks. Where are you going to go with an Amtrak? You know, it's been, I think, yeah, we went to Kansas City via Amtrak a year or two ago. And as far as I remember, we didn't even show tickets. They didn't look at tickets until we were already on and moving.
Yeah, that's pretty normal. But yeah, I just remember that at 30th Street in Philly and at Penn Station in New York, you actually have to they call you to board and you have to go through a thing and they check your tickets as you're getting on. But that kind of makes sense because it's tons of tracks and one person fucking something up could cause a huge problem there. So I do get it.
I'm surprised there's not more security at Amtrak, but I'm not gonna put that evil out in the world and suddenly we have to do TSA for Amtrak. That's nobody, as far as I know, has hijacked an Amtrak and tried to run it into a building.
Yeah. I mean, they realize that it's much more challenging to do GTA shit with a train when you're limited by the track and where you can go. I will say here, you can take trains, obviously cross-border trains to different countries. There's not, I mean, they check your tickets on the train once you're on. But there's not any pre-check at all. When you're going on trains that are going to leave the country, there's a specific platform they make you go on. And there is still a customs booth there, but there's never one in it because they don't use it anymore.
Sure.
So, it's been set up for a while, but it's so much less annoying in that regard. So yeah, it's cool. I mean, I don't know why we're talking about how I guess we were talking about homogenized milk and
talking about gay milk
and the milk that was labeled homo. You were asking me about grocery stores, fucked up colors that they have backwards colors for mustard and mayonnaise here. You were talking about fish fries. We're talking about volunteer stuff with your daughter. I was talking about getting ordered around by a 2.5-year-old in a foreign language, which is very funny. Yeah, I mean, it's been...
That sounds like a podcast to me.
Yeah, man. I mean, quite frankly, things have been good. Last night, yesterday I had kind of an idea for another composition for music, and I actually was goofing around with my daughter yesterday and just kind of changing, making up lyrics on the spot of you said you were going to bed, you should get on with that, you should get on with that. And it actually worked really well. I don't have time to record vocals, but I put together a basic composition and I played it for her this morning and started singing that. And she actually went back into her bedroom and got in her bed after I sang it.
Oh, wow.
I've written the going to bed song and it works. This is a power.
Isn't there a Kenny G song or something in China where it's they play this music to let everybody know it's time to leave? Because they're closing the store. There's some song like that. You've managed to create a sleeper song here. Quite literally. Just
I know what you're talking about. The song they play is kind of this is the song. I remember there was these bars I used to go to in DC with friends. They would have dance party music nights, and they always played Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie as the last song, which may be helpful in the sense of this is our last dance, this is ourselves under pressure, kind of implying it's the end of the night, go home, fuckers, that kind of a thing. But yeah, I'm trying to think what know that what you're talking about, and they have that kind of shit in America too. I just haven't worked in a bar in so long that I don't remember. The bar I worked in was in Honduras anyway, so I
think they stopped using closing time because that's more about giving birth to a child than it is leaving a bar. But I don't know. I haven't one, been drinking in a bar in a long time, or two, been drinking in a bar so late that they have to kick me out. It's been a minute since I've seen 1:30 in the morning, and I'm very happy about that.
You know what's funny? I don't know if you know this, but Daniel Wilson from Semisonic, the guy who wrote Closing Time. Wow, Semisonic is famous for the songs they had, more than one, but Closing Time is one everyone knows. He is also a pretty prolific professional songwriter, and I think he's written for Adele and Taylor Swift, songs that have won Grammys.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of nuts. I was like, wait, okay, so I guess you prove you have the chops by writing a song like Closing Time, and it's okay, well, the flannel shit's over with now, but maybe you keep doing it.
Yeah.
You look it up.
Look, you get in, it's like, I like to write the music, and here we are, performing the music, and now I'm touring, and you think like, I don't want to tour though, and I don't want to do these things, but I do like doing the songwriting part of it. Kind of figuring out, like, there's so many like actors and band members who you think like, whatever happened to them? Why did the band break up? Why did they stop acting? And then you look them up and they're like, oh, they have just a shitload of director things or producer things, or they move to a different part of the industry that isn't in front of the camera.
Mean, like, Trent Reznor still tours Nine Inch Nails, but he's primarily works as a scoring movies as a composer now.
Yeah.
And does quite a bit of that.
My friend of the show, Brock Wilbur, was recently at a Nine Inch Nails show, and apparently Nine Inch Nails put a big cube in the middle of it, and it's like, oh, the Nine Inch Nails Kabach. Like, they're you gotta throughout Pretty Hate Machine, you have to run around the Nine Inch Nails Kappa 7 times before we can move to the next song.
Throwing some rocks at it. Throw rocks at Trent Reznor. Throw rocks at Alessandro Cortini. I don't know. I mean, I was looking this up for Dan Wilson, and it says on his Wikipedia, it says he's collaborated with Pink, Celine Dion, Leon Bridges, Mitski, Claude, Halsey, Weezer, Panic at the Disco, My Morning Jacket, Dierks Bentley, John Legend, Joy Oladokun, Laufey, and many others. And he won a Grammy for Album of the Year as producer for Adele's 21 and Song of the Year for Not Ready to Make Nice by Adele in 2007. Like, that actually fucking whips ass, dude.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. I mean,
that's some fucking chops right there.
Yeah. I mean, but I mean, I get it. I thinking about too with a lot of people, like, people just grow up, have kids, don't want to tour. Music stuff is sometimes the stability of a regular job is kind of helpful. It's like the guy from the Blood Brothers, was it Johnny Whitney? Like, he's like a JavaScript programmer now because he's got like 5 kids and he lives in Portland and they probably made negative money doing what they did, and I can't imagine his voice can keep doing that these days. So
yeah, there's a guy at my job who was a very popular singer. He's actually very well known in Japan, especially with the people our age, a little bit older. And it's like, why did you stop doing that? Like, you were a famous singer, songwriter, performer, and now you do IT. And he's like, try constantly being on the road. It's like, I had a kid. What am I going to do? So like, I think he said one of his other musical friends told him, is like, this is your off ramp right now to get out of this business, because eventually you're going to get old and this is not going to work out for you anymore. And he's great at doing IT stuff. I love him to death. Love that we work together, but it is, every once in a while I will look him up, and just, look up the music that he's done. I don't want to give names out or anything, but it is that kind of, you think of show business as this, me at least, because I'm a lay person, I don't have anything in show business other than being a podcaster. And you think it's this like big glamorous money constantly coming in, you got no problems, you like, everybody loves you, so you must be rich and doing well. And then you talk to people and they're like, no, and actually it fucking sucks. All that money you make ends up going to other people a lot of the time.
A friend of mine who has been in a number of bands on major labels and is quite successful, but as an indie artist primarily, told me that they recently got their quarterly residuals for an album he did with a band, and the management agency was like, oh, and by the way, here are your quarterly fees from us, which is the total balance of the same thing. So they get exactly $0 for that. And it's just like, yep, that whips. That's definitely a thing that puts food on the table.
Yeah. Nobody's going to take your money away from if you're fixing broken computers, man. That's just the job right there.
Well, it's been a great day, Francis. It's been great talking to you.
It has. It's the beginning of the day for me. It's rainy, but it's going to get up to like the 70s. And that's kind of my perfect weather. Dark outside, very rainy, but also 65, 75 degrees.
I can tell I wanted to go running, but I can look out and it's 100% raining now.
I'm feeling like I didn't expect this to happen to me, but man, as soon as nice weather came around, I started getting an itch to run. So we'll see if I start doing that too.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, to all the listeners, or the listener, Hive Mind, thank you for listening. Francis can tell you where you can find more content from us.
Yeah, you can always find more stuff on patreon.com/hellofawaydodie. Nate and I recently did an episode on Clerks, where we talk about Clerks, a movie that surprisingly holds up, unlike many of the other 90s movies that we watched. I think the next one, did you ever watch Neverending Story? Did you grow up with that?
Yes, I watched it numerous times, yes.
All right, so that's going to be our next one. We're gonna dig deep into our childhood brains and really fuck ourselves up a little bit. So we've got Never Ending Story coming up next week. On the free episode is going to be the start of Jack and I talking about the TV show Twin Peaks, a show I have never seen in my entire life. Don't know anything about it. Jack, however, loves it, owns it on owned it on VHS, DVD, bought it on Apple TV. So he is very excited to talk about Twin Peaks. Again, I have never seen it. We watched the pilot episode. I enjoyed it a lot. David Lynch was always very dense to me. I didn't really get it, but I always liked him as a person. So I'm into it. I'm ready to go. I don't know, have you watched Twin Peaks? Is that something that you were really into?
I tried. I watched a couple of episodes, but I mean, it wasn't like I disliked it. I just didn't really get into it enough to like put in the effort. But I've seen a couple of David Lynch movies that I've liked. I mean, Lost Highway and Mulholland Drive. I enjoyed
I've seen Lost Highway and Blue Velvet, and I don't remember anything about either one of them. But I'm hoping now that I'm, in my 40s watching this. The first episode was great, so I already know that I'm doing well there. But so you can find all of our bonus stuff, patreon.com/hellofaWayToDie. All of our socials are down below. I know that we're both on Blue Sky, but I do post a lot of things to the podcast, Facebook, and Instagram stories. So if Blue Sky and Twitter are not the way that you wish to consume things, check out the show notes. You can follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, man. I will put things in front of your eyes in whatever way that you want to see it. So all of that will be down below. As always, Nate, thank you so much for joining me. Everybody, thank you for listening, and we will talk to you next week.
Yep, have a good one.